sandwich.
Or our new buffalo chicken sandwich,
Both made from scratch.
Don't forget our wings, made with 12 different sauces that are, you guessed it, made from scratch.
The Chicken Coop has the best chicken and is made from scratch in our kitchen.
Stop in or order online today.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
KXNO FM Ankeny, KKDM HD2 Des Moines. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, sports talk, and podcasts. Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO is sponsored by TC Sports LLC.
Congratulations to KXNO on their silver anniversary and 25 years on the air in Iowa, being the home of sports talk radio.
We're giving you a chance to experience everything Circa has to offer with a trip along with your favorite KXNO personalities.
The next KXNO Silver Ticket Tour will bring you to Las Vegas and Circa for 4 days, 3 nights. Go to KXNO.com to sign up and have a chance to experience Circa with KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
And we hope to see you soon at Circa.
Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network and 106.3 KXNO.
Good afternoon. Welcome in. Miller and Condon on the air with you on a Wednesday as we talk the world of sports, taking up until 2 o'clock here this afternoon. Then Sean and Lucas off the bench will take you home before overtime Iowa from 5 until 6 o'clock. Coming up today on the program, going to be joined in the second hour, Matt Rudy from Golf Digest for such a long time, now writing golf books across the landscape out in the mountains in Colorado. He's going to join us to preview the PGA Championship. We'll get his perspective on all things PGA this week. Rory trying to make it 2 in a row, what the course looks like, a place that has not hosted many major events, and certainly not recently. We'll get his perspective on that and a whole lot more. Then Sloan Piva is going to stop in from Athlon. We'll talk some NBA playoffs. We'll get into some prop bets and a whole lot more. But joining me once again today, Ken will be back with us tomorrow. He is Nick Marovets from Locked On Cyclones. Good to see you once again, Nick, and we are off and rolling here on a Wednesday. How are you?
I'm great. I've got to say, with the music rolling in, it's so hard not to just start singing. I know this is sports radio, but it's just so tempting. You're playing some good stuff.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear me sing. I have a terrible voice in general, and as bad as my radio voice is, my singing voice is even worse. So, yeah, we're going to not have that happen. We'll stay away from that definitely going forward. And I think in my almost 25 years now on radio, I believe I've sang twice, and both times it did not go very well. So we'll stay away from that. How's your singing voice, Mr. Marovets?
It's not good either. That's why I held back. But, man, this is some good songs. That's all.
You got better pipes than me, and so I thought maybe the singing would go along with it. It was not the case. Now I'm going to go back in story time. So I take you way back to the late 1980s. I'm in elementary school. I would anticipate, kind of looking back, maybe a little bit of a pain in the butt, kind of a jokester, kind of a goofball in the class. And definitely when we went to music class with Mrs. Gruby,
here we go.
I was putting the fun meter in the red. I was always goofing around, screwing around. And finally, our end of the season spring play, singing thing that we did was there. And I had the most lines out of everybody. And I had to do everything. And I had a solo in there. And it was absolutely disastrous. So she came around. She had things figured out there. Those teachers, they know what they're doing. And I buttoned things up a little bit after that.
Yeah, she got you where you didn't expect it. That is clever. What a way to get back at you.
Yes. Mrs. Gruby shout out here on a Wednesday. Well, Nick, we got a lot to talk about today. The PGA Championship on the horizon. Mentioned I'll be joined by Matt Rudy in the second hour. Really always does a great job of previewing things for us here on the program. But I want to start today with what we saw last night. It was the NBA for me, the Wolves in action. And every time that they had a run, got it close again. It just, the Spurs responded every single time before obviously pulling away in the fourth quarter and dominating from there. We know the history of game fives. It's about 80% of the time in a tie series, the team that wins game 5 goes on to win the series. I don't want to say the Wolves are completely cooked, but you're talking about threading a needle here. Now having to win the final 2 games of the series, including what would be a game 7 in San Antonio. I don't think we're going to see Wemby suspended again. And because of that, boy, Spurs are prohibitive favorites, as they probably should be.
Yeah, look at you using the new lingo, saying cooked and everything. I got to say, in this game, I really thought that Timberwolves were going to be in a good spot with, 7-8 minutes left to go when it was like mid 60s. Everyone was kind of tied up in that spot, but the Spurs pulled away. I do think there was an element of Wemby, kind of agitated after getting suspended. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to show you what's up. I don't know if the Timberwolves can keep up with that kind of a performance, but I'm not counting them out, man. I actually really like them to make a run at these last 2 games. Are they going to push it to 7? I don't have the answer, but I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that, they lost game 5. Statistics say they're officially done. No, I am saying that they are very much in this thing. Disadvantaged, yes, but not out by any stretch of the imagination.
And you had a fired up Wemby. You definitely saw that throughout the course of this when Wembyana was just absolutely so good throughout the course of this one. We know what he is on the defensive end, the skill set that he has, and just having a guy like that. And for the T-Wolves, they can't have Julius Randle have that kind of performance, the struggles that he had, 6 of 17 from the floor, 0 of 4 from behind the arc. With the diminished state of Ant-Man, of Anthony Edwards, you need to have him playing at the highest level. I guess the good news is they go back to Minnesota for game 6 is those role players, those guys off the bench. And really, I don't even consider Naz Reid one of those guys because he is a consistent. It is more inconsistent, I guess, than a star player, if you will. But look at Terrence Shannon last night, who had been so good a couple of different times during this series as they've needed him. And I think he was 0 of 4 from 3. 3 of those were really good looks. And those are looks that at home, those role players, they just play so differently time in and time out. Those are the kind of guys. If you're going to take game 6 and force a game 7, you need Terrence Shannon to knock down a couple of threes. You need Mike Conley, again, to find the fountain of youth and come back and have a good, solid performance. And then, of course, you need your stars to be stars and a lot more out of Anthony Edwards. We saw it the fourth quarter back in game 4 as he put the team on his back. They're asking a ton out of him. And just going forward, I see these odds out there. LeBron's next team and like the 12th betting choice is the Timberwolves. Giannis's next team. And I see the T-Wolves, I think, are like the 8th betting choice in that one. Need a little bit of help, but unfortunately for us Minnesota Timberwolves fans, we know not exactly a destination for a lot of these NBA stars to make their way to the Twin Cities and be played in Minneapolis throughout the cold winter months.
I guess there's some truth to that. No, I actually want to throw Rudy Gobert in there. I know that he's gotten a lot of high praise, but I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more out of him because they are asking so much out of Anthony Edwards. And you make a good point that I kind of wanted to touch on. They're playing at home, right, in this game 6, and they can win that game, right? That's a very winnable game. I am not counting them out. Once you get to a game 7, that's what sports are all about, right? And we are down to the last 4 quarters. Anything can happen in a game 7. Now, I understand it'll be in San Antonio. I understand that the Spurs might have momentum, whatever it is. Obviously, coming off a loss, maybe it's a revenge game, whatever. But it's really all down to one game. And if somebody gets hot at the right time, I just want to push back on it might be cooked for the Timberwolves here. I think they're still very much in this. If they can just get those role players to step up a little bit, just a little bit, I think they're very much in this.
Yesterday, I sent you an article, CBSSports.com had it, talking about, and really, I think, filling in some gaps that we had when we talked about this last week, Nick, about this private equity deal with the Big 12, what it entails. And, the biggest question mark we had on the local front is obviously Iowa State, the ability for them to take that $30 million loan. One of the details that definitely stepped up, and we've heard that Iowa State has decided not to take that potential loan, is did you see the interest rate on that thing? Double figures, north of 10%. That was, when you're talking about $30 million, that's one thing you got a mortgage. It's another one you're talking about $30 million and 10+% on that one. That rate absolutely floored me there. I can see why we have heard, and everybody to this point has said no to that part of the deal with the Big 12 and getting that private equity money, because not just that $30 million up front, you got to pay that thing back, and you got to pay it back with some big interest.
Yeah, Jamie Pollard, with his accounting background, said that it was pretty simple. Like, we just aren't paying that interest rate. We can find that money elsewhere for a more reasonable rate. And I actually do agree with him on that one, knowing that was what the rate was. I know I talked about maybe if Iowa State takes it, they can get some, it's basically take like an insurance policy. And then if the Board of Regents kind of allows the school to pay in the meantime, and there was kind of like a whole hypothetical situation I threw out. This was the right play. Let's just wait on the $30 million. And plus, you don't even have to take it right now, to my understanding. If it really came down to it and it was an absolute necessity, last case scenario, apparently Iowa State can still take this down the road. So for now, absolutely, I am cool with Jamie Pollard saying, we're going to go ahead and wait on this one. I don't want to have to pay the double-digit interest rate.
The other component, and this is something that we did find out beforehand, but when these deals started to become part of the conversation, private equity getting involved with conferences and in college athletics, is that they were looking to get a stake of these conferences. And same thing with the Big 10, the Big 12 in the same way. When that was a big part of the conversation, the conferences said no. And I'm thankful for that, because private equity, I don't know the business well, but what I do know about it is it has a negative connotation, a connotation that definitely points in a way that says to you, they're going to take as much possible. They're going to strip this thing down. They're going to make it as financially solvent as possible for them and them to get their money. And then what are you left with? And after that deal is done, you see it so many times, then that portion is sold. It's sold at maybe a cost that makes them money, but it's not going to make your conference money. That, for all the conferences out there, staying out of that angle with private equity, I think was a really good thing, and good to see the details inside this article.
Yeah, no, I think that was super important. That was one of the big things that I gathered when I first saw this. And, Utah comes up because they did this back in December with Otro Capital. And I thought there was a lot of question marks with that. They basically separated their athletic department, made it its own entity. And then the private equity had ownership over that, and they get to make decisions. To my understanding, the Big 12 did this right, as right as you can. And it really came down to, looks like the Big 12's trying to catch up to the Big 10 and the SEC, just with TV deals and where all that money is at. It's no secret that the Big 12 isn't making as much money, and they have to get creative, especially with how fast college athletics is evolving and changing. This is, I don't necessarily love it, but it's kind of a necessity at this point. And I think if you're going to do it, the Big 12 did it right, in my opinion.
Nick, when you go through and you look at the way that this is all pointing towards when the next media negotiations happen. And with the SEC and their relationship with ESPN, obviously the Big Ten and Fox and that relationship, and also the equity stake that is involved on both sides of that one, with Fox owning a portion of the Big Ten network. And that goes hand in hand. You look towards the future, because the Big 12 is in the middle, right? They got some on ESPN. They have some over on Fox. They also have their deal as a portion in the trade with inside the NBA. Is TNT got a number of Big 12 games, both football and basketball wise. But when you look towards the future, streaming, we know, is the future. We're seeing with all the NFL schedule leaks obviously happening this week, more Netflix games, those kind of things that are happening there. But when I look at it, I see it like this, and maybe this is the old man in me speaking, but I just know it's one thing, a Thursday night game on Amazon with the NFL. It's a standalone NFL game. You're going to find your way there. Here during these playoffs, NBA playoffs, yes, finding your way to a streamer to watch the Lakers Thunder the other night, that was no big deal. It was a one-off game. However, on a college football Saturday, when there are dozens of games on, there are places all over the place. I saw the CW, it got even more games with their deal with the ACC. And it's not just that. Obviously, the big wigs that we're used to, you flip me, still got DirecTV, 206 ESPN, 207 ESPN News, 209. I know the numbers. I know where I'm flipping, but I'm not flipping away from that. I'm not going away from my channel guide unless it's Iowa State playing. But if it's even a good matchup, even if it's a TCU-Utah matchup that matters in early November, but there's 3 other games on quote-unquote regular TV, I just don't see myself flipping over to that. And is that me just being old man, or is that a concern if you decide to get into bed with a big portion of your rights and some of your big games go into a Netflix, go into a Prime on a college football Saturday?
Yeah, well, I'm going to say that it's a little bit of a you problem. I'm just going to go ahead and start there. But it's not the end of the world, because there is something to be said about this is a slippery slope, right? Like it starts as, one game out of the entire NFL season, not just one game per week, one game out of the entire season is streamed, right? And then all of a sudden it's, okay, well, all the Thursdays are on one platform, and Sunday night we're going to throw on this one. Okay, well, I guess it's 2, they're standalone games, it's whatever. And then it turns into, down the road, you've got to have 15 different, and that's kind of where we're at right now. And so I don't know if I love that for the Big 12. If they go, let's say they go just to CBS and everything is on like Paramount or whatever it would be, that's great for if you only watch Big 12 games, but that's a problem if you want to watch college football. And so you've got to have then, YouTube TV or Direct TV or whatever it is. And then you've got to have Paramount to have your Big 12 games on. And I know, it's not maybe the biggest conference in the whole world, but there are definitely important games in the Big 12 playing on. So I don't love the thought of splitting it up even more, making it even harder to find, even if they're all in one spot. I can get behind the idea of keeping it like on your traditional channels. Just from we talked about this. I prefer to watch it on YouTube TV where I can quad box it. I won't be able to quad box between two different apps. Yeah. That's really I don't want to end up in that spot where I can only watch on one app.
The technology probably will be there by 2031, you would guess. I noticed this during basketball season this past year. So the Peacock exclusive college basketball games, Big Ten had a host of them, a number of them throughout the course of the season. Well, actually on DirecTV, there was a channel that was set up for that. I think YouTube TV also has something like that, part of your package. Okay. We actually don't have to have Peacock exclusive if you have the right package, obviously, with your provider. So that's a component. And by the time we get to 2031, is it going to be more integrated? I think this is $1 billion idea, or maybe $1 million idea, but both sound pretty good. Is there has to be somebody that can put the technology where all these streaming services, I mean, I look it through. We got HBO Go, we got or HBO Max, we got Peacock, we have Amazon Prime, we have Netflix, we got Disney, we got ESPN Plus, we have all these plus our DirecTV, all these things together. There has to be a way where you can put it all in one spot, right? And if you can find a way to do that and find a way to make that manageable for everybody, and then you just hit the sports tab and then you see everything that is listed there. That makes, I think, the streamer an even better deal for these conferences, making the decision to go that direction. The other component I think is interesting when we look towards the future and we get when the rights are going to start here in 3 or 4 years is that relationship that I mentioned with TNT. Now, TNT, that ownership group has been bought out by Paramount CBS. So the connection, the synergy there, we'll see about the NCAA tournament. For a Big 12 perspective, though, as mentioned, the SEC in bed with ESPN. That is a relationship I don't think is going to change. The Big 10 and Fox, same kind of thing. If the Big 12, if it makes sense for them to kind of stake their claim and take both the CBS component of it along with the Turner component of it and make that your brand. Obviously, you get over the air with CBS, and we know the numbers that come along with that. We'll see what CBS kind of decides with their small package of games that they have with the Big 10 currently with that 2:30 window that took over for the SEC. But for you as a Big 12 guy, is that something you would like to see? Jumping on and going almost head first into it. Hey, we're going to go with Turner, TNT, and CBS as those two combined together, and that's going to be our home for all of our different sports.
I think it's probably the right play, and that kind of goes back to the point I was about to make, where I was going to say that it's not your idea of putting all of these sports into one spot is the right idea for the fans. The right idea for the conferences is to line up and say, we are entirely on this platform. If you want to watch us, you have to sign up for this. Same thing with like the single games on Peacock. And I wasn't aware that this was, available on DirecTV, but if you want to watch this game, you have to sign up for Peacock. That's how you generate revenue. Essentially, you're kind of creating like a monopoly. So to go back to your question about the TNT CBS from Big 12's perspective, that's the right play. And that's how these teams and the conference as a whole generates more revenue, and it's more competitive with the Big 10 and I almost said CSPN or whatever it would be. That's the angle. The question is there a demand, right? And if they do go exclusive like that, is there enough where people will actually sign up to watch all of those games? I think there probably would be at least enough to warrant it. I don't know if it would drive them up to the Big 10 or the SEC ESPN level.
Really good article if you're interested in this over at cbssports.com. You go to college football tab, and it was penned by Brandon Marcello, who broke things down inside the Big 12's bet on private equity to close the revenue gap, compete in the NIL era. Changing topics here with you, and Nick, you being an Eastern Iowa guy, this one caught my attention for somebody that spent plenty of time over in the corridor as well. Something that is kind of interesting when you think about it. There's not a private golf course in Iowa City. And it's kind of weird, a city of its size, that you don't have a private equity. Now, really good public courses, and Iowa City is in good shape there when you kind of look around. Brown Deer, what's the one south of town, the Florida style course down there? Oh, I can't even think of it. Of course, Finkline at the University of Iowa. A lot of good public courses there, but there isn't a private one. There is a group that has Nate Kading also involved along with it that potentially is looking at doing just that. As somebody that grew up in Eastern Iowa, grew up close to the corridor, and now lives there now, Does it make sense? Financially viable? Is it something that you can wrap your mind around, also knowing that you are a golf guy?
Yeah, we did talk about this just yesterday. It looks like what I'm seeing here is that they said they found the perfect property in Johnson County between Solon and Iowa City, just north of the village of Morse. I think that's a really great spot for it. So from that perspective, just looking at the pictures that they have here, it's 30 minutes from the Cedar Rapids Airport. If it's a really solid course, that's definitely a plus, being able to bring people into the airport. I was reading up on whether it be private, public, whatever, and it looks like they're going to go hybrid, where you would be able to have, non-local national members come in and whatever. So that looks like they're already kind of thinking down that avenue, looking at incorporating essentially the airport right there. I think it makes sense. I think it'd be something that I would certainly be interested in trying. It's not really a niche that has been fulfilled in this area. And so I don't see why not.
Absolutely. I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. I think it makes a ton of sense. And the lack of the private part of that goes a long ways. I mean, we got some incredible courses here in the state of Iowa. We're really lucky. Obviously, the Harvester is right up there towards the top of anywhere you go. Here in Des Moines, we got a lot of good ones, both the public courses that we have along with the private ones. Wakanda, Des Moines Golf and Country Club, had an opportunity. Shout out to my buddy Scott and my brother-in-law JD for getting me on there and me hacking around, hopefully not leaving too many divots out there at Des Moines Golf. But we really do have it good. But when I kind of think through that and just seeing that article, I think it jumped off to me. So that leads to a jumping off point. We got the PGA Championship starting tomorrow. Scotty Scheffler. These are the best odds you can get on Scheffler in quite a while to win a major. I saw a 5-1 popped up last night. I had to jump aboard with that one. I think currently at circa plus 480. We had been seeing the Scotty Scheffler numbers dwindle down into that plus 300 type of range. A little bit more value certainly there if you believe in Scheffler. And there's been times he's got off to these slow starts, has not played well on Thursdays, yet is right there in contention as he was back in the Masters. And I think he's going to be here as he makes those strong charges seemingly every single weekend. I'm going to be involved with Scotty Scheffler, something I wasn't nearly as much. I got a top 10 on him. I got him to win. Got a couple other guys. Anybody that you got a peek on and eye on coming up this week at the PGA?
You would be hard pressed to get me off the Scotty Scheffler train. Yeah. I am such a believer in Scotty Scheffler, especially after that generational run. He's still playing really well, obviously, but there was a while there where you couldn't turn on the Golf Channel and not see Scotty Scheffler. I am also looking at maybe like a Cameron Young, maybe. I really like Scotty Scheffler, though. I'm curious about Rory. He's a fun story. I don't know if it'll play out, but I mean, if you asked me who I would put my money on, it's going to be Scheffler 100% every day of the week.
And it has worked out incredibly well. You can get Scheffler also at top 10 minus 150. Feels like, boy, you're laying a big price. He's top 10 seemingly every single time. I like that one a lot. A couple other guys I got circled this week. I usually end up in the majors. I play about 5 guys to win, and then a bunch of top 10s and top 20s, those kind of things. A few matchup plays that I do for the majors. Guys that I have to win. I have a Fleetwood ticket at 29-1. Tommy Fleetwood, I think definitely has the game for this one. Hovland, he's a guy that I've just become enamored with. I'm taking a shot. Got him 63-1 last night. I know Xander Schauffele, I haven't bet him yet, but I will because I do every single major, and it's worked out a couple of times. So Xander, he's going to be a part of my card. And I think Matt Fitzpatrick, and I know one of the 3 tournaments he won this year was the team event down in New Orleans that he won with his brother, but he's playing at a high level. You can get him at a top 20 at plus 110. Same with Fleetwood at plus 110 there. I got a JT ticket, top 20 for him, a little bit better than 2-1. So those are some of the guys that I have circled this week. One thing, though, reading up on this course, again, has not hosted a major in a while, is one thing you're going to see. This is going to be a bomber's place. And kind of like what the Masters has turned into, they pulled all the trees out of this golf course. And we've seen this happen before where these guys and the technology and how far that it has come, just drive it. Doesn't matter where it's going to go. And without much trouble out there, you're going to be able to find your way to the green just because you're hitting your way through the trouble. So this is interesting to me. I think I like golf tournaments. I love the U.S. Open every year because I like to see the guys struggle. And I know a lot of times it's unfair, but at least for one golf tournament a year, I love to see that part of it. I think this one's going to be one where 16, 17 under, something like that wins the golf tournament. And I just don't like majors like that. I like to see them really be much more difficult. I don't think we're going to get that this week.
No, I wouldn't guess so. That's an interesting. So do you like a defensive battle in like a football or like a big pitching battle in baseball?
Well, remember, I've watched a lot of Iowa football. So, yeah, defensive battle.
Yeah,
that
true.
Is yes, yeah. you start to come into that. That was the same thing. I just, for years and years and years, Wisconsin fans, I got family up in Madison. I'm like, how could you enjoy watching Dick Bennett ball and into Bo Ryan ball? This is awful basketball. Well, they win. But now seeing it last year with Iowa basketball to run to an Elite Eight, I'm like, hey, this is pretty good. I'll take this. Yes. Winning cures all. But overall, I do like offense. It's just something about golf for the majors. I want a true test. I don't want to see, no offense to our friends in the Quad Cities, but I don't want to see the John Deere Classic. We can see that basically any other week. With these 4 tests a year, I want to see it incredibly difficult.
There's definitely validity to that. Maybe it's just the youngin' in me, but I love looking at the scorecard. It's like 25 under.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I'm usually 25 over. So it's like I'm just watching a spectacle. This is insane. But you do get with that difficulty increase some crazy shots. And I definitely have appreciation for those as well. I think this will be a fun one regardless. I'm not guaranteeing that they're going to be 17 under. Who knows? Maybe the course plays kind of weird. There's some weather implications nobody saw coming or something. Let's not put the cart before the horse and expect this to kind of be a stinker. I think it'll be fun to watch regardless.
And it will begin if you're thinking about putting some bets in. Maybe I can do it in the morning before they get teed off. You better get up early because the first tee time tomorrow morning is at 5:45 Central Time, 6:45 for them out there. Ben Griffin, a guy that I kind of liked before I saw that tee time, at least maybe to make a cut, top 20 type of thing. Ben Griffin, along with the aforementioned Matt Fitzpatrick's little brother, Alex Fitzpatrick, will be going off at 5:45. Huge field. That's also something that you get in the PGA Championship. Remember that. Those top 20s, a little bit more difficult when you got just the sheer volume of guys that are involved in this golf tournament. Well, coming back on the other side, Nick Marovets hanging out with me, Trent Condon, today here on Miller and Condon. We're going to get back into Iowa and Iowa State. We're going to talk about, yesterday we hit the football side, reasons for optimism, and then taking it the other direction, some reasons for concerns. On both sides, both Iowa men and the Iowa State men, their season's coming up this year, why you should be excited, and maybe why you should pump the brakes a little bit. We'll do that next as we continue on Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Quick question. Want to go to Vegas with KXNO? We're giving away the Circa Silver Anniversary Experience. Flights, Circa Hotel, food money, stadium swim, sportsbook VIP access, and nights out with the KXNO crew. All for one lucky winner and a guest. And 5 more winners still get the Vegas hookup. You've got until June 28th to enter. Don't hear about it later. Be there. Only from KXNO and Circa. Sign up now at KXNO.com.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey everyone, Chef Brandon here. The Burger Shed is your go-to for handcrafted burgers and real ice cream shakes. Try the Shed Burger, stacked high with smoked brisket, the Farmhouse Burger with a fried egg, hash browns, and bacon jam, or the cheesy Mac Attack. We've also got Shed favorites like our pork tenderloin and smoked turkey Reuben. Add in local beers and big screen TVs, and you've got the perfect spot for game day and every day. Burger Shed, Bass Pro Drive in Altoona. Burgers, beers, and a whole bunch of BS.
Your one stop for advertising? Call 844-844-iHeart.
Spring's finally here, and if you've been putting off the mower decision, we get it. There are a lot of options out there, but at Clive Power Equipment, you're not on your own. Our crew will walk you through it, match you to what actually fits your yard, and stand behind it after the sale. Try getting that at a big box store. Right now, we've got great deals on Toro zero turns, walk mowers, and battery equipment. And we just extended our hours, open till 7 weekdays and 8 to 5 Saturdays. Near University and 73rd in Clive.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a U.S.-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Game night's fun until someone spends 5 minutes lining up one shot. Chalk, breathe, re-chalk, still aiming. While they figure it out, I fire up Chumba Casino. I can spin anywhere, anytime, and there's always a new social casino game every week. Spins happen way faster than that shot. Play now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Let's Chumba. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
More with Miller and Condon in 60 seconds. Right here on 106.3 KXNO.
After a rough Iowa winter, your roof took a beating. Don't wait for leaks. Get your free inspection and estimate from Wolf Roofing. We'll make sure your home is ready for spring and beyond. Find them online, wolfroofing.net. Wolf Roofing, strong roofs, done right.
Now here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Fun. That's fun. Enter it now. KXNO.com.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Yacht Rock Radio on iHeartRadio drops anchor and goes commercial-free every weekend. Weekends were made for smooth sailing. Yacht Rock Radio's got the soundtrack. Just sit back, put your feet up, and enjoy. The smoothest soft rock from the 70s and 80s. Open the free iHeart app, search Yacht Rock, and set sail.
iHeartRadio. You're listening to Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
.32 on a Wednesday. Miller and Condon continues on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. Flagship 106.3 KXNO here in Des Moines, along with our stations in Sioux City, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, and the Quad Cities. Thanks for joining us here today. Got Nick Marovets with me as we're going to talk some Hawks and some Clones. A very successful year for both programs this past season. Year number one for Ben McCullum, TJ Otzelberger getting over the hump, getting back to a Sweet 16 this season. A lot to be excited about, a lot to be also questioning, I think, about both of these squads as we go into the 26-27 basketball season. Quickly, a look back for you, Nick. As you look back at last year, nobody's happy the way that it ends outside of one team, and that was Michigan this year in the national championship game. But I don't know if you had a letter grade, just an overall thought of the way the season was and how you remember this past season.
Oh, I'd probably give it like a solid B+, maybe even somewhere up in the A's. Obviously, it didn't finish the way that we would have liked, but we talked about this, I believe it was last week. Like, you just can't control the injury situation. And while it's kind of the worst, if you take that out of the equation and I guess if you put that in the equation on why they lost, and if you, like, they played so well in the Big 12 championship game. The game against Arizona was the game of the entire year of all of college basketball. I don't really care who you're a fan of. That game was incredible start to finish, and they played a lot of games like that. They had some stinkers in there as well. The TCU one really stuck with me. So I'd probably go like a B+. It was a fun year. That's really what it comes down to for me.
Absolutely. And getting back to the second weekend, yes, it didn't go well against Tennessee, but getting back over that hump after the disappointment a year ago, what happened to them against Ole Miss. He had another Sweet 16 to the resume and another one for TJ Otzelberger now, his third at the helm of the Cyclone program. You feel good, but you're also losing dudes. And Joshua Jefferson and Taman Lipsey. Lipsey, obviously the importance of him to this basketball program. Modchilovich, all signs indicating, even if he does forego the NBA draft, that the likelihood he's back in Iowa State doesn't feel real high at this point in time. So you're losing some huge pieces off of last year's team.
That's really the biggest downside. And we're going to get into like positives and negatives here, I'm sure. But that's I mean, you not only lost great players, but you lost your core. It was really because the 5 returners from 2 years ago to this last year was your Jefferson, Heisey, Momcilovic, Lipsy, and then Cade Kelderman, right? Didn't play a ton, but was definitely an integral part of the culture of Iowa State. And they're all gone. You're pretty much in a brand new spot. And so I trust TJ Otzelberger, and we'll get into like the transfers and stuff, I'm sure. But that is really where the downside is for Iowa State, is you're kind of taking on a little bit, not too much, of a new identity. Obviously, it's still Otzelberger's squad, but it's just going to look a lot different.
Want to get your perspective on a couple of the returners. I want to start with what we saw towards the end of the season after a pretty big slump in there offensively with Killian Torrey. What we saw, the shot was really uncomfortable, it looked like at times. Teams were leaving him open. And then during that Big 12 tournament, started to make a couple of shots, and it impacted him not just on the offensive end of the floor and him being more aggressive, but that defense that was always good. Felt like that even ratcheted up to another level as he was finally getting a couple of shots to go down. How much more upside do you think out of him offensively? He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton this year, and I think they're going to be asking a lot out of him. How much more? Where do you what's your baseline of expectations? We know he's going to be a great defender. How about on the offensive side?
Yeah, I expect big things. Looks like he averaged just under 9 points a game this last year. I expect him to jump up maybe to somewhere around that 12 points per game. Not, we're not asking him to become Milan Momcilovic or Joshua Jefferson or something, but kind of more of that Lipsy role. I do think that he was like literally the second coming of Tamin Lipsy in a lot of ways. Obviously, he's not from Ames, but just that ability to play tough defense, top to bottom, entire game, the entire length of the floor, that kind of mentality, the toughness, and then a little bit of offense as well. I'm not expecting him to, score 15 points a night, but definitely be controlling of the ball and make good decisions. And that's where I look more for Killian Torrey this upcoming year, maybe in year 3 or 4, if he's able to stick around. Then we look at maybe you're pushing 19 points a game, pushing that, or maybe 19's a little high, maybe 17 points per game, but being that key scorer for Iowa State this upcoming year. I really just want to see, can he handle the ball? Can he eliminate turnovers and then still bring that defense? The points will come. I trust that.
Yeah, turnover rate a little bit high than what you want to see, and certainly for a full-time point guard, as it could be the case this year. But they got some other names we're going to be talking about joining him in the backcourt. And then the 2 returning bigs, your thoughts on both of them. And again, same kind of thing on the offensive end. Guys are going to play D. You're not going to play for Otza if you can't play defense. But what we saw at Buchanan, he's explosive. He's got some pop to him. And then Don Plata, who we saw for moments in the flashes, still a young guy coming over from Germany and acclimating himself. Offensively, do you expect a ton more from either of those bigs?
I think Buchanan will take a step in the right direction, but probably not as big as Plata, just because even within last year alone, I thought Plata got a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident. He started to look like he was out there because he fit out there, if that makes sense. He definitely looked more comfortable. So I expect him to at least see an uptick in minutes, which will likely result to more looks and then probably more scoring as well. I think both of those guys are going to be a great returning core for Iowa State as far as the big position. But I did want to hit on one more guy, Jamarian Bateman. Let's not sleep on Bateman here.
Love him.
I mean, that of all the guys that are coming back next year are probably I am most excited about, because he could be the guy that shoots 35% from 3. He's just the guy you look to late in the game that you'd need a shot, give it to him. He was kind of that guy in a few games this year, only averaged 6.5 points, but he had some games where he played extremely well. Of all of the returners, Bateman is probably the one that intrigues me the most. I'm not saying he's going to have the best year, but there's a lot of ceiling there, and I'm excited about it.
We look at the transfers coming in. They had the group of 5 that came in for the weekend. They got all 5 of them, and away they went in the transfer portal. Leon Bond, obviously, a lot of people know from his days at UNI, started his career at Virginia. Jaquan Johnson, watched a lot of him at Bradley this past season, really like his game. You go through, and Ryan Prather, is that the guy, again, I think we stick with the offensive side of this one. Is that the guy they need to come in, though, out of this group and be able to help with the scoring punch?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely something from Ryan Prather that I expect. I like maybe Trey Singleton as well in the transition game. That's an area that I think could be, I don't know, this last year wasn't bad necessarily in transition. I just felt like they got set up in the half court and didn't really have the half court offense. too much. They just, I don't know. I didn't like how much they were in that. So I like Trey Singleton to maybe push the pace just a little bit, but Prather could be that scoring option for Iowa State. That's just a turnover ratio, obviously something to look at. I'm curious from an Iowa perspective. You're not going to play Iowa State, 5 times a year. It's really only once. But is there anything from these 5 transfers that concerns you as far as like, oh, Iowa State's going to be the first team to win a national title in the state? It's very possible.
I do not get that direction. I don't, because I look at this group. It's a nice group, and it's going to be a good team. They're going to be a solid team, but I don't see anything that wows me that says, oh, this is going to be the year. They're going to break down the door and they're going to get to a Final Four this year. There's nothing on paper coupled with the losses that they had that makes this daunting. That says this is an impossibility, that Iowa State is by far going to have the superior team to Iowa this year. Do I think they're going to be better? I do. I think they are going to be a touch better than Iowa this year, but I don't think the gap is going to be significant. I don't think the gap is going to be nearly as big as it was throughout the course, really, of most of this season between Iowa State and Iowa. Yes, we know what happened in the NCAA tournament, and that changes perceptions for a lot of different people in a good way when you go to an Elite Eight. Nick, you've never seen that in your life. But, but I think Iowa State's going to be better. Do you see, what's the baseline for this team? I mean, I see some of the projections out there. They're a top 20-ish type of team, in that range. And I guess when you're a top 20 team, you can't say, well, you got to make a Sweet 16, right? Where are your expectations right now?
Well, so I'm not saying you're wrong. I just want to present more evidence. Did anybody think Curtis Jones was going to be what he was when he came out of Buffalo, or even Joshua Jefferson out of St. Mary's? Like, those guys, Otz does a great job of putting guys in the right position and coaching them into being great players. And then I would argue that Otzelberger knew these guys were the ones he wanted. It took Iowa State one weekend. It took Otzelberger literally 3 days, get them in the building. They signed. And maybe that's Otzelberger swinging too low, potentially. I guess that would be the argument, but I think that's really exciting. So all of those things considered, the guys coming back, the amount of retention that they have, I think Iowa State could very well be a top 10 team yet again. I'm not going to say that they're going to climb to 2 or that they're going to end up, staying top 5 all season long, but I think they'll poke their head into the top 10 if they, get an easy stretch of the schedule or rip off a few wins. They look really solid. I think it's very possible, considering they play in the Big 12, the best conference for basketball. They're going to have that kind of help from, the AP or whatever, like, oh, they played Houston and they played Kansas. And I mean, it's just a perception thing really when it comes to rankings. So I genuinely think that Iowa State will be in a position to compete next year. I don't know if they'll, make a Final Four run, but they're absolutely going to be in it come January, February, March.
I think they're going to be very solid once again. And yeah, it's going to be another fun season because Otzi's proven that year in and year out. That is not the case for Ben McCullum. Year number 1 went incredibly well, but it is a different look. And certainly with the guy that handled the ball more than anybody this past season, Bennett starts off to the NBA draft, going through the combine process at this point in time. You look through and you look at this Iowa team, the questions are, who handles that? And I also do wonder from the Hawkeye perspective, how much different it looks than it did this past season, just because they put so much on the plate of Bennett Sturtz, late clock situations, running the clock down. We're going to be bailed out. And I think you saw at times also his teammates doing the same kind of thing. We're fine. Bennett will get us out of this. And they just chuck it back to him with 3 on the shot clock, and he's got to hoist up a tough shot. Are we going to see a little bit more movement at times out of them offensively? Now, I can't argue with the results and what happened in March and what they were able to do, upending 3 consecutive opponents seated higher than them on their way to the Elite Eight, but it's going to be a lot different this year. I like what they did, but I am not enamored that this is even a lock NCAA tournament team. Again, I side that way. I think they will be a tournament team, but likely a bubble team going into next season, even with the expanded field.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about like the Elite Eight appearance, kind of clouding some people's perception of how the year went. And I'm not discrediting Iowa in any way, shape, or form. Like I really am not, but they kind of only played Florida, right? Like Nebraska, they'd played before. They're a tough team, but it wasn't like, I don't know, Tennessee. Does Tennessee pay me a problem? Anyway, I do think that there was some bright side, and there's a lot to be excited about when it comes to McCollum. But I made this argument today on Locked On Cyclones when it comes to like Jimmy Rogers in his first year at Iowa State. the reason the first year is so important is because we don't really have a ton of track record. It's not like Nick Saban's coming to Iowa State and he has a down year. Well, we know it's Nick Saban. He's going to be just fine. It's Jimmy Rogers. Is this what we're getting out of Jimmy Rogers? Ben McCollum kind of in the same spot here. Had a great first year, but hasn't really proven anything yet. And so next year, I think will be telling as well and very important. And we'll see how the transfer portal played out as far as guys they grabbed. Was there anyone that you were extremely pumped about? Anyone that you thought moved the needle, or was it more just a bunch of, kind of role places?
So at first, what I saw, the two portal additions, when they went out, they got McKeever, the 7'3" kid from St. Mary's. Look at the numbers, 8 points, 9 rebounds. All right, he's 7'3", but you see a couple of the highlights, doesn't look great. And then Tyreek Coleman, who I really did like at Illinois State. I think he's going to be a good fit. I start with McKeever, though, and a couple of things that I've read with him in the pick and roll game and just how good he was. Really the thing that he struggled with offensively, it was in post-up situations. Well, Ben McCollum runs some of the lowest amount of post touches of anybody in college basketball. He's not going to be asked to do that. He's going to be asked to do something that is a strength of his. Pick and roll and pass from the top, something his assist rate for a big guy is really good. Same thing with Tyreek Coleman, digging in and getting into synergy and looking into some of those numbers that sometimes make my head hurt and I don't know what the hell I'm looking at actually. But when I was able to figure a few things out, both of these guys, it's not just they're guys that you could find. These are guys that absolutely fit his system, I think, incredibly well. And what we heard from Trey Thompson, who redshirted this past season. I talked to Ben McCollum last week at the Polk County I Club, and he brought up Trevin Urach just looking different and what he can do. And he's got such a unique skill set. Obviously has to improve on the defensive end of the floor. Tate Sage and Cooper Koch now going into their sophomore years after how great both of those guys played during the NCAA tournament, really the last third of the season, the jump that you're going to get out of that. So reasons for optimism. Cale Combs has got to take that next step. And we saw flashes but you need to have that consistency. If he can do that at the point guard position, him working in the backcourt with Coleman together, I think they're going to be good. And I think we're now set up in a way, kind of all-encompassing here now, Nick, is when we look at both Iowa basketball, Iowa State basketball. You guys have had it now for the last half decade. TJ, he is going to put, at minimum, a competent team on the floor every single year. Doesn't matter the pieces. He's going to be able to find a way. And I think we're trending that same direction now with Iowa basketball.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's great for the state, too, right? Where if both teams are good, that I think is better just in general. I would say Iowa State is probably on a faster track to a national title, to a Final Four appearance, but that's me.
Whoa. Iowa was 8 minutes away with the lead in the Elite Eight game. You were getting blown out by a Tennessee team that lost 12 games. Come on.
Iowa State was one player actually being on the floor away, right? It's really what it comes down to, in my opinion.
There it is. Nick Marovets, Locked On Cyclones, joining us here today on Miller and Condon. Quick timeout back on the other side. Black uniforms in college football, not part of the color scheme for a program, and some fans are upset. That's next.
At Kia of Des Moines, it's been 1 year since the unveiling of our new state-of-the-art showroom. So we're celebrating all month long. It's our anniversary sale, and you get the gift. Shop and save on all of your favorite new Kias, with financing as low as 0.9% for 60 months. Don't miss the anniversary sale going on now at Kia of Des Moines. Shop KiaDM.com. With approved credit for well-qualified buyers. Valid on new 2026 Kia Sportage models. $1,705 per $1,000 finance monthly. Must finance through KMF. Expires 6/1/26.
In Des Moines, Chase is proud to root for the home team because they're our team too. We cheer from the bleachers and on the sidelines. We cheer for gymnasts and quarterbacks. And with over 5,000 Chase branches nationwide, we're right beside you, Des Moines. Neighborhood bankers, digital tools, national strength. Chase, make more of what's yours.
JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
That red talkback mic on the free iHeart app, it's more powerful than it looks. One tap can get you in the conversation.
You guys, are you serious?
Enter to win something amazing.
That $1,000
or just a request.
What up?
Try it now. Just open the free iHeart Radio app.
Visit CarX Tire and Auto today for our Road Ready Service Special. We'll drain and fill your radiator, change your oil and wipers, and inspect everything from bumper to bumper, all starting at $159.
Worry, call a CarX man.
As your dealer for life, the Carl Auto Group has been taking care of small companies and fleet owners the same way for over 45 years, with a handshake and a promise. Our Business Elite professionals are here for you as we begin 2026. See how we can help upgrade your fleet and save on a new Chevrolet, GMC, or Ram fleet vehicle. Or learn how our fleet management program can help business owners increase vehicle uptime, reduce cost per mile, or lower operating expenses. With dealerships located in Ankeny, Stewart, Glidden, Webster City, and Marshalltown, we make it easy to service your fleet. We invite you to visit carlauto.com to view our complete work truck and fleet inventory.
Your dealer for life, it's the Carl way.
Get in on the action with the world's largest sports book, right at your fingertips. Circa Sports Iowa is where the pros play. Enjoy the highest limits, lowest takeouts, and competitive betting menus. Download, fund, and bet from anywhere in Iowa. Circa Sports Iowa. Sports betting the way it should be. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com. Must be over 21 and present in Iowa to bet. Have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
80 years. That's how long Hawkeye Truck Equipment has been keeping Iowa's trucks on the job. To celebrate 8 decades, they're giving you a gift. Right now, get $80 off a Turbo Liner Spray-On Bed Liner. Just pair it with the Truxedo Low Pro or Pro X15 tonneau cover for the ultimate bed protection. It's the perfect combo to keep your gear dry and your truck looking good. Also ask about their selection of scratch and dent toolboxes, along with other discount truck accessories. Don't wait, this anniversary sale at Hawkeye Truck Equipment won't last.
What would you love to get back to? Walking the dog without pain? Finishing a round of golf? Getting through the day without stiffness slowing you down? With 9 convenient clinic locations and personalized hands-on care, their team helps you move better, feel stronger, and get back to doing what you love. At Kinetic Edge Physical Therapy, it's not just about treating pain, it's about helping you return to the activities that make life yours. Call Kinetic Edge Physical Therapy today to schedule your appointment or visit kineticedgept.com and start moving better now.
For 25 years, 106.3 KXNO has been the heartbeat of Iowa sports. From Friday night lights to championship dreams, we've been there for every play. Here's to the fans, the teams, and the passion that keeps us going. 106.3 KXNO. Des Moines sports station for 25 years and counting. Ken Miller, Trent Condon, Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Pick up hour number 1, Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network, flagship 106.3 KXNO. Hanging with Nick Marovets today, Locked On Cyclones. You can hear Nick each and every day talking Cyclones and ripping the Hawkeyes. I'm getting some texts. You're getting people fired up, Nick.
That's my main job.
I know, because I do it on the other side. You can listen to me every day on Locked On Hawkeyes as I take the Hawkeye perspective. Well, Nick, as we wrap things up, there was, of course, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, however long it was, Iowa State made the decision that they're going to wear a black uniform. And that rankled some people. Now, I had no problem with them wearing black. I just thought the uniforms were ugly. That was my problem with it. And as the self-proclaimed uniform czar of the state of Iowa, I thought I had some insight into it. I just thought the uniforms were ugly. I had no problem with the color. They just didn't look good. But that aside, Ohio State has unveiled some black uniforms. And I will tell you what, their fan base, not nearly as excited as the Cyclone fan base was for those black uniforms. People are pissed that the Buckeyes are going away from the scarlet and gray for a game and wearing these ugly black things.
Yeah, you want to talk about like ripping on Iowa. This is where Iowa State just can't hang. I mean, it's gotten kind of ugly. I don't know if it's necessarily that it looks bad. I don't like it. I want them to be in the Cardinal and gold. Looking at these uniforms, I don't know that I can say that they look bad. No. I think that they look fine. They're the contrast, the red, the white, the black. The biggest thing for me here is I'm surprised that there's so much pushback because gray is basically black. In no world is red or gold close to black. That's a totally different color. Gray is literally just a lighter version of black. This was a weird one for me to see so many people upset.
Nostalgia is a funny thing. I
love uniforms of my youth. I love the uniforms and the other ugly color schemes. I'm wearing a Padres hat today with the old brown and yellow, and though they brought those back. I love old school things from the 70s and 80s, the things that I grew up with and those kind of things. I love the Iowa State, some of the uniforms that they had football back in the 80s. Now, I know for the fan base, there weren't a whole lot of wins back then, and there were some ugly times for the program. I think there's some cool throwbacks, though, that Iowa State could do. Do you have any of the old logos? In fact, I see on your background there, you got a few of those old school Iowa State things.
I do. And you know what I don't really have great in sight here? It's just over my left shoulder is the 95 logo. By far my favorite. They call it the Sinado. It's not even close for me. And I think that's because that was kind of what I grew up with back when my parents were in college. That was the logo. So a lot of their stuff has that logo on it. But yeah, that logo, it's just incredible. I mean, all the other ones are good, but when they show the throwback, they do the logos on like TNT or CBS or whatever, and they're like doing a special in Iowa State, and they put up the one that looks like a bugle. Like, put Sinado on there. It looks so much better.
Bring it back, Nick. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me on.
Hour in the books. One more to go.
Want to go to Vegas with KXNO? We're giving away the Circa Silver Anniversary Experience. Flights, Circa Hotel, food money, stadium swim, sportsbook VIP access, and nights out with the KXNO crew. All for one lucky winner and a guest. And 5 more winners still get the Vegas hookup. You've got until June 28th to enter. Don't hear about it later. Be there. Only from KXNO and Circa. Sign up now at KXNO.com.
It's showtime. This is Tony Bachhoven, the voice of the Knoxville Raceway, and I'm inviting you to the sprint car capital of the world. Catch the Lightning Stake Bank 410 sprint cars, the Randall Roofing 360s, plus the high-flying Pro Sprint Series sprint cars. This week is Denison Racing Tees and Jersey Freeze Night.
We interrupt this program to tell you that Marshall, Poweshiek, and Jasper County residents are free this week. Check out KnoxvilleRaceway.com.
Knoxville Raceway, we're the one.
Hello, I'm Robert Smigel. I did lots of things. Cartoons on SNL, Conan stuff, Triumph the Insult Comic Dogs, some movies. But now I'm past my peak. So I'm hosting a podcast, Humor Me with Robert Smigel and Friends. Each week, me and my favorite comedians, writers, and whatnots help regular people just like you, presuming you're regular, who have some project or task that they'd like us to help make funnier.
Search Humor Me on iHeartRadio, America's #1 podcast network, and the Webby Podcast Company of the Year.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-995-2929. That's 800-995-2929. 800-995-2929.
Your one stop for advertising? Call 844-844-iHeart.
You've put in the work to get that first job, moved up the ranks, or started a family. Now it's time to take your success to the next level. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we're here to help you keep that momentum going with educational programs built around real-world, in-demand career skills. We'll teach you how to apply emerging technologies like AI and data science, plus timeless skills like leadership, communication, critical thinking, and more. Affordable, accredited, and online. A UMGC education fits your life, so you can keep growing while you keep going. You've succeeded before. Now succeed again. At UMGC, we believe nothing should stand in the way of your next achievement. Not doubt, not your life stage, and especially not an application fee. Just apply by June 1st, and we'll waive your application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis?
which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
At the Chicken Coop, we're starting from scratch. That's right. We're dropping some new recipes along with your favorites, and they're all made from scratch.
Boneless wings and chicken tenders made from scratch when you order.
Get your spice on with our new Nashville hot chicken sandwich.
Or our new buffalo chicken sandwich.
Both made from scratch.
Don't forget our wings, made with 12 different sauces that are, you guessed it, made from scratch.
The Chicken Coop has the best chicken and is made from scratch in our kitchen.
Stop in or order online today.
KXNO 106.3 FM and 1460 AM Des Moines, an iHeart radio station. Guaranteed human. Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO is sponsored by TC Sports, LLC.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. With Game 5 tonight, the Pistons may be facing a problem that goes beyond this series. During the regular season, Jalen Duren looked like a foundational piece. He became a near-automatic 2010 guy. He was an all-star, helping Detroit secure the Eastern Conference's top seed. For a young team with championship aspirations, that kind of production suggested Duren was trending towards a massive payday. The playoffs have created a very different conversation. In 11 postseason games, he's scored more than 12 points just once, finishing with 15 in that lone outing. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen deserve credit. Cleveland's front court is among the league's toughest defensively. This is when stars are expected to prove their value. Regular season numbers can build a reputation. Postseason consistency can determine your price. Detroit does not need Duren to dominate every night, but it does need more than this. If he's going to earn max money, good in the regular season isn't good enough. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. These days, everybody's searching for ways to save on insurance. Scrolling comparison sites, digging through tips, chasing deals. But Liberty Mutual makes it simple. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance to save you money. And when you bundle, those savings really start to come through. It's insurance built for real people with a team that helps you keep what matters most, money. No hassle, just confidence that your coverage is customized with savings in mind. Get a quote at libertymutual.com or with your local independent agent. A personal question. Have you ever wiped with a piece of dry, single-ply toilet paper and wondered, is this as good as it gets? Well, it's not. It's a whole lot better thanks to the wet, extra-large cleaning power of Dude Wipes. They comfortably clean up whatever toilet paper leaves behind. You can make the trade of the season, switch from toilet paper, and start experiencing the confident clean of Dude Wipes. Available at Amazon and at major retailers nationwide. Dude Wipes, best clean, pants down.
Congratulations to KXNO on their silver anniversary and 25 years on the air in Iowa, being the home of sports talk radio.
We're giving you a chance to experience everything Circa has to offer with a trip along with your favorite KXNO personalities.
The next KXNO Silver Ticket Tour will bring you to Las Vegas and Circa for 4 days, 3 nights. Go to KXNO.com to sign up and have a chance to experience Circa with KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
And we hope to see you soon at Circa.
106.3 KXNO. Ken Miller, Trent Condon. This is Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Hour number 2, welcome back. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. Glad to have you aboard with us here today. Taking up until 2 o'clock, then we will be off the bench with Sean and Lucas from 2 until 5. Right now, time to preview the PGA Championship. Talked about it a little bit earlier on, but a deep dive with our friend Matt Rudy, who has been helping me out along with Ken for how long have we been together? The last 8-9 years, something like that. Before that, he was on with Ken for a long, long time, and he joins us here today
on the eve of the PGA Championship. Mr. Rudy, good to talk to you once again. How's everything for you as we get ready for a different kind of scene for the PGA Championship?
It's good to talk to you. I think I've been talking to you for going on 10 years and Ken for 25. So I feel like my name is almost in parentheses on the show now.
You're getting there.
It's always good. It's always good for when major season comes. I always like talking to you. So it's a good day.
It absolutely is. And Matt, as you've grown accustomed to throughout the years, these are golf tournaments that are special. Golf on a place like this in Des Moines, across our network now, across the state. Golf's important in the state of Iowa, but it's not like it is in a lot of other locales. It's about the majors. And if there is ever breaking news that is out there, I want to start, though, with the date here. And after they moved the PGA Championship up from its old August date into May, on the surface, it made a whole lot of sense. You got April with the Masters, May with the PGA. We get into the U.S. Open, Father's Day, and then we finish up with the oldest one in the British Open. I think I'm ready to go back. I want the golf season that matters for more of the casuals, and I'm more on the casual side of things. I'm not a hardcore golf guy, but I watch pretty much every weekend. I usually have a bet going every weekend on top of it, and that definitely helps. I think, the August PGA Championship. Is there sentiment like that inside the PGA Tour and a possibility maybe moving it back to a different date?
Well, I think there's the traditionalist in me thinks that having it in back in the hot of the summer is something to look forward to or to the way to finish off the season. But I think what the May date does is it does bring a lot more of the country in play. You could conceivably have one in Texas. There's a lot more places you could do it where it's not 7,000 degrees. But I know where you're headed with this because you're the guy who likes the bloodbath. So you want to see people melting and not being able to walk 18 holes and that, having that be a part of the challenge.
I do.
The PGAs and they're spot because they're competing with big legacy events. I think they're doing the right thing and super strong. They've historically invited all the live players that should be in the field because they want to have all the best players together, and they're trying to make the most out of the PGA member, the field with a bunch of players that can't win like the Masters does. So I like April, May, June, July, and I just wish there could be a interesting finish to the season from the PGA Tour because I think the FedEx Cup playoffs are the ones that need the revise, not the PGA Championship.
Well, we look at this week. Aronimink will be the scene. We'll have some crazy Philly people, I'm sure, that are going to be a part of it, making their way over there to the golf club. Tell us a little bit about this course. It feels like on the surface and some of the things that I have looked at, it's going to be a bomber's paradise, open things up, taking some trees out. How do you see the perspective, the way this is going to look and how this course is going to play starting tomorrow?
Well, I like the PGA, the folks that set up majors for the PGA, I think do the best job out of any place. You leave the Masters out because every year they have an infrastructure easy to get what they want. But when it comes to changing locations, I think the PGA of America, and then the players would back this up, does a great job in evaluating the golf course for what it is and making opportunities to hit good shots and score while not making it overwhelmingly easy. I think this is not a super long or demanding course off the tee. It is a par 70. It's 7,300 yards. So I'm not sure how that we're going to necessarily see crazy under par numbers, but I do think they'll be good scores. I think pretty good. So as I've said on your show lots of times, I like it when the golf course is not a main character and players do is what everyone is responding to on TV. And I think mainline still kind of like we see it. There's a lot of historic golf courses. Yeah. And I think Aronimink makes for a good minor golf course, not one where we need to be oohing and ahhing about all the incredible visuals.
And it's going to start tomorrow. Mentioned this earlier. The first tee time of the day, Ben Griffin goes off along with Little Fitzpatrick. Will be in that first group. 5:45 Central Time. That means 4:45 for you out there in the Mountain Time Zone. Getting going early there. What, they got early sunset in Pennsylvania? What's going on?
We get spoiled with the Masters because the field is. I mean, I think it might not even be 120 most years. I think there's some years where the Masters field's only like 105 players. So we have a lot more coming along on that part of the East Coast because you're further east and you're further west than New York. There's more sun, so you can pack more. And I think they want to always give themselves enough room to adjust in case weather does come in. I like that. I like when they pay attention and say, well, what are ways that we can give ourselves a little room to make this happen if we do have to make some changes.
Hey, Matt, we're having a little bit of trouble here with your phone line. I'm going to try you back real quick and get you back on a different line. Starting to cut out just a little bit. We'll try back Matt Rudy and get him back on the line with us here as we preview the PGA Championship and want to make it sound as good as possible for everybody out there. So I'll do this on the fly. As we're speaking here, we'll dial Matt Rudy back up. And as I'm doing that, of course, the betting favorite is Scottie Scheffler. And find it interesting, 5-1s are out there in the market. Possibility that maybe we're going to be seeing Scheffler at this point with the possibility of hearing him maybe even better. So there's a 5-1 I saw in the market yesterday. So these are the numbers currently from Circa Sports. Plus 450 for Scottie Scheffler. Rory is the second choice. He is 10-1. You have the third choice is Cam Young and how well he's been playing here recently. He sits at 12-1. John Rahm up next. No shot that I'm going to be betting Rahm coming up this week. Going to be staying away from that one. Ludwig Oberg plus 1850. There's Xander Schauffele. You know I'm going to have a ticket of him at 19-1. DeChambeau just shy of 25-1. Matt Fitzpatrick 27-1. So those are the top 8 in the betting odds currently from Circa Sports. I think we got Matt Rudy back on with us. Matt, you still there?
I am. Do I sound better now?
Yes, loud and clear. And
there we go.
Yes, we hope that everything stays, the joys of technology, right, as we're working here in 2026. All right, talking about the top, let's start with the Scottie Scheffler conversation. It's a part of the conversation every single time. Form looks good. Slow starts, I guess, has been the story from him. Boy, if he can just go out there and be okay tomorrow, it feels like that plus 450 or 5-1 that's out there in the market right now, betting wise, that thing's going to be a lot shorter than that. I got a ticket already on Scheffler this week. Your thoughts on the betting favorite?
Well, I mean, the problem with Scheffler is what we saw with Pete Tiger, which is the more you win these things and the more people think you're going to win. I think obviously he's the favorite. He's finished second in the last 3 events he's played in, but you're just not going to get paid very well if you bet him. I mean, if you can get better odds on Matt Fitzpatrick, we'll call him the big Fitzpatrick now, even though he's a shorter guy. I think he probably loves being called the big right. Fitzpatrick. Give me the betting odds on Matt Fitzpatrick, a guy who's won 3 times on tour. Not that I think he's necessarily a better bet than or more likely than Scottie to win, but I just think the odds are better. So. Scottie's a tough one to bet on, and he's very consistent. So you're not really going to get any love trying to bet him top 10 or top 5 or any of those other metrics. I think whenever that happens, though, that does present lots of interesting opportunities in the rest of the field, just because by definition you're going to get something more attractive with other guys who've been playing really well. And I think that when you see a great example, little Fitzpatrick playing with his brother in the team event in New Orleans, and it shows you that when you get your opportunity and you get your card, and then you get out there and play, just being in the cauldron, so to speak, and proving to yourself that you can do it can have an enormous impact right away. I mean, this is a guy who won on the European Tour at the end of the year, and now is quickly proven himself to be a very talented and effective PGA Tour player. He's been playing in final groups. He's been winning tournaments with his brother. Those are great players to take a look at, because the outside of kind of the core, the real insider people in golf who kind of know that story, that Alex Fitzpatrick story hasn't really spread wide enough outside to impact the betting line as much as what's happened, for example, with Scottie Scheffler. So I like seeing those kind of heater, I guess I would call them heater stories. Someone who's really come along in the last few weeks. There's some opportunity there, I think.
I guess we put these two guys in the same bag. Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau going to the tournament. They're the 4th and 7 betting favorites. But obviously the headliner live guys coming over. Didn't go very well in the Masters. DeChambeau not even making the cut. They can get almost 4-1 on DeChambeau to miss another one. I don't think this is going to happen. Feels like a course that's set up well, but just the form and going into it now, looking towards the future and what Live Golf, if Live Golf's going to be there, what it means for both of these two guys and what it means for this week.
Right. I mean, at least there's no distractions. Right? Yeah. I mean, you got these two guys. I mean, DeChambeau has been negotiating behind the scenes to renew his live contract, and that's clearly not going to happen. And Jon Rahm, I'm sure, is still owed a pretty decent amount of money from live. So all this stuff happening just means these are guys who have to answer a lot more questions this week than other players have to. Leaving aside the distraction part of it, I mean, I think Bryson has built himself more of a buffer. He's lived this kind of live lifestyle for a few years, and I think he thrives on it. So I don't think the normal prep kind of questions about majors is as big a deal for Bryson as it's proven to be for Jon Rahm. I think Rahm is the guy that really misses the traditional lead-ins to tournaments where he's playing in challenging full field events on courses that are getting progressively harder to get ready for majors, and that's proven in the way he's played in the last few years in majors. So I would feel much more comfortable betting on someone like Bryson to figure it out than betting on. I mean, Rahm's obviously got talent, and if he's in his right, in the right condition, he and Scottie Scheffler, I think, are the two best players in the world. I just don't think he's proven to be in that spot right now.
Want to jump into kind of a group of guys in that they're not the top tier. They're not even in the middle. They're somewhere in between. It's a group of guys that I have all circled for different reasons that I like this week. Mm-hmm. Ty Hatton, I think really rounding into good form. Victor Hovland, who's played so well at majors throughout the course. JT, Justin Thomas, it feels like maybe finally it's starting to turn for him just a little bit. That group of three, Hovland, Thomas, and Hatton, is there anybody that you like more than the other? Because I'm probably going to wager on all three of them.
I have to say I really like where you're at with Hatton because he is a guy who has been percolating on the right in the top 3 or 4 in the leaderboard in majors for the last couple of years. And I think what we saw with Xander Schauffele is there's a process to this for some players, where you have to go and be in it. And Hovland has had that experience too, carrying the third round lead into the end at the PGA Championship. And, I think you've got to go in and be on the skillet and maybe even fail a couple of times and just, until you figure out how to do it. And I think when you look at those two guys in particular, Hovland and Hatton, those are examples of extremely talented, really flush ball hitters who just, if they keep putting themselves in position to do it, it's going to happen for them at one point or another. I don't know so much about the Justin Thomas pick, but what I do know is he has a very weird and symbiotic relationship with the PGA Championship. So, I mean, maybe he'll be the guy who wins 4 majors in his career and all 4 of them are PGAs. There's just something about this particular event. I think because it sets up closer to a PGA Tour event where, bombing it high and, swinging from your heels can be rewarded more than some more nuanced golf courses in the Open Championship Road or at Augusta National. There's just something about the vibes of the place that make him feel good. So I don't think you can discount that.
What about Jordan Spieth? Still on the precipice of a career slam. He gets this opportunity once a year to complete it at the PGA. It feels like there's no shot. What is it? 83 straight starts, I think, without a victory for Spieth. People are going to love him, but I've already heard it. People are pointing to next year when the PGA goes to Texas, his home state, that they're pointing at. Maybe that's the time to get over the hump there. This is one of the, I don't know, it's a different golf story than we're used to. This young star comes on the scene. He's winning majors. And now he can't anymore, though he's still okay, not at those levels. It has to be incredibly frustrating for Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, and I think that he came out so fast, and I know we've talked about this before on your show. The issue that he's always had is he doesn't have the natural firepower that other players have. He just doesn't hit it as far, and he has to be really on and almost dominant with other parts of his game. I mean, there was a 2 or 3 year stretch where he was the greatest long putter, maybe that the tour had ever seen, 15, 20, 25 footers. His statistics were just otherworldly. And, and that runs in streaks and slumps. You're not going to make 20 footers every week. So he spent a lot of time retooling, and he had some physical issues and injuries, trying to get back to that confidence place, because he really does play with a lot of swagger. And, excuse me, I don't think this is the same kind of situation where we watched Rory try to win the Masters for, however many years to complete the Grand Slam. Rory has this obvious physical firepower that made it seem like an upset when he didn't win. The unfortunate reality for Spieth is I think he's kind of in that category of, he's a little better than just another guy, but really he's kind of just another guy in that 25, group of 25 or 30 players under the best players in the world. Now that, you can definitely win as just one of those guys. And we've seen it in the last couple of years in majors, but to say he's, he's one of the top 5 or 6 picks that you'd want to put your money on this week, I don't think that's the case.
All right, here's a different type of conversation for you. Matt Rudy joining us as we preview the PGA Championship. So Justin Rose is just always a guy that I've enjoyed. We're the same age. I was working at the golf course, Sunny Bray in Osage, as a high school senior, where I see this guy my age out there competing in the British Open and finishing in the top 5 that season as I'm working in Osage, but different conversation. So I've always obviously kept a close eye on him and watching that. And now he makes this equipment change a month ago. Talk about feels like ruining your chances and maybe one of your final great chances. He was playing so well, the equipment change going to McLaren Golf. Help me out here, because I get it. It's money. These guys are independent contractors. You get those checks when you can, right? But this one is head scratching for me. A guy in his mid-40s playing really good golf.
Well, you're right, and especially because he's done this before, and he got into some Hanwha equipment a few years ago and fell off the face of the earth. So I do think that having gone through it, he's certainly going to be more in tune or aware of the potential pitfalls. And I do think that with this McLaren deal, part of the reason he took it is because he was able to design all of the stuff from scratch exactly to his specifications, as opposed to it being adapted, a current line of clubs being adapted to match. This was a clean sheet with some pretty incredible engineers. And to be honest, when you make these deals, ideally what they're doing, and this is what they always did with Tiger when Tiger switched to Nike, for example, is they just take what you're making and make clones of those clubs and just put the badge on them from the company that you're playing with. So I don't know how much of that happened with Hanwha, but it would be shocking to me if he showed up to play in this event with clubs that were really that much of a deviation from the clubs he played before. And I don't believe that McLaren is even making woods yet. So it's not as if he's switching out drivers and wedges and putters and scoring clubs. This is a matter of putting new irons in play. And I suspect that the specs on those irons are identical to the ones that he had in his bag when he was winning his last event here a couple months ago.
So probably a little bit different than the ones I get at like Golf Galaxy off the rack, just a little bit.
I would guess. Don't hold me to that, but I'm gonna guess that the leading technology team in F1 has probably been able to look at a piece of metal and go, yeah, we can make something that's the same as that.
Matt, you've heard the guys that I've kind of been dancing around, the guys that I'm going to be playing this week. So who do you like this week?
It would be amazing. I think I always like Brooks Koepka for events where you don't think he's going to do anything. And he's got kind of a frustrating relaunch into the PGA Tour because he hasn't gotten into some events. He's been on site waiting to get in. And I think chip on his shoulder, annoyed Brooks Koepka is the most interesting Brooks Koepka. So that's where I'm going to put my money this week.
Brooks Koepka it is. Matt Rudy, we will recap things on Monday if your schedule allows.
You bet. Anytime.
That's Matt Rudy joining us as he does throughout the golf season on the eve of the majors. Always love the conversation with Matt Rudy, and a big thank you to him for joining us here today. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. We got more coming up here, and we start to look forward in the NBA. 2 teams have already advanced, another on the precipice with the Spurs. The one question that we have, who's going to be playing the Knicks coming out of the East? We're going to get into that as we get ready for Game 5 coming up this evening with Cleveland and Detroit. We'll talk about that. Game 6 with the Timberwolves and the Spurs, and a whole lot more NBA conversation and a little betting talk as well. Sloan Piva getting to join us on the other side as we roll through. It's a Wednesday edition of Miller and Condon. Stay right there on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
This June, the Legends of Golf return to Des Moines. The 2026 Principal Charity Classic at Wakanda Club, June 10th through 14th, where legends of the game compete and every swing helps support Iowa youth. Bring the whole family. Tickets start at just $25 and kids 15 and under get in free. Get your tickets now at principalcharityclassic.com. The Principal Charity Classic, because out here, it's more than golf.
Get in on the action with the world's largest sports book, right at your fingertips. Circa Sports Iowa is where the pros play. Enjoy the highest limits, lowest takeouts, and competitive betting menus. Download, fund, and bet from anywhere in Iowa. Circa Sports Iowa. Sports betting the way it should be. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com. Must be over 21 and present in Iowa to bet. Have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Your one stop for advertising? Call 844-844-IHEART.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
You think a ticket for not wearing your seatbelt is the worst that could happen until you get in a crash. Suddenly, a ticket doesn't seem so bad. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-277-3355. 800-277-3355. 800-277-3355.
T-Mobile has an exclusive bundle for customers 55 and up.
I'm Sarah Bowl.
Yeah, I'm Frank Bowl.
A reliable network is key for us. And with T-Mobile, it's been wonderful. And going to the 55 plus plan saved us so much money.
A lot.
And that's important. Trying to keep costs down. The home internet's been perfect. It's fast, it's quick. The setup was so easy, it took less than 15 minutes.
It was like, ta-da! If you want simplicity, coverage, reliability, you want the whole package, T-Mobile has it. Right now, T-Mobile customers 55 and up can get 2 phone lines on America's best network, plus America's fastest 5G home internet for just $30 each.
$30 per month each line with autopay plus taxes and fees. Minimum age 55. Pricing for home internet rely on 2 lines of essentials. Choice 55. $35 connection charge per line required. Best mobile network and fastest 5G home internet based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 2H 2025. All rights reserved.
Now here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Bills. That's Bills. Enter it now.
Ken and Trent are back in 60 seconds right here on 106.3 KXNO.
KXNO.com.
Hello, I'm Robert Smythe. I did lots of things. Cartoons on SNL, Conan stuff, Triumph the Insult comic dogs, some movies. But now I'm past my peak. So I'm hosting a podcast, Humor Me with Robert Smigel and Friends. Each week, me and my favorite comedians, writers, and whatnots help regular people just like you, presuming you're regular, who have some project or task that they'd like us to help make funnier.
Search Humor Me on iHeartRadio, America's #1 podcast network, and the Webby Podcast Company of the Year.
Do you remember the last walk-off homer to win the World Series? It's been a while, but the answer is 1993. Do you know when Wolf Roofing started roofing houses? That's right. 1993. Wolf Roofing has been around for a long time. For your next roofing project, put the experience of Wolf Roofing on your side. Find them on the web at wolfroofing.net or give them a call at 515-225-8866 or online wolfroofing.net.
Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Back with you, it's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. I'm Trent Condon. Ken Miller back with us tomorrow. Joining us right now, though, Sloan Piva from Athlon. So we talk a little NBA and a whole lot more coming up with Sloan. We'll get into some betting tips as well. As Sloan was able to help us out a little bit with some fun player props over there. This portion of the program brought to you by Unjuice.bet. 30% off your subscription right now with the code KXNO, Unjuice.bet, if you like those player props. And Sloan, I got to tell you, this might be a place that would intrigue you just a little bit, taking a peek around over there. They have helped me out with my prop betting here recently as well, and diving into the prop market. It's a fun one, as I know you know, Sloan.
Absolutely. How's it going, guys? Yeah, really interested in the player props tonight, and it's been a really fun ride. This playoffs has been really, really exciting. So let's talk.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with what we saw last night. The T-Wolves go down 3-2, about 80% of the time in a tie series. The team that wins Game 5 goes on to win the series, and certainly feels like that trend is going to continue with the Spurs, with having potentially a Game 7 at home and a Game 6, obviously, at Minnesota coming up here in a couple of days on Friday night. Going back to that one, every time to me, it felt like the Timberwolves had any kind of run. The Spurs just had a response, and that happens a lot at home. I definitely get that, but I love the toughness. I love the grit of this Timberwolves team. The Spurs are just better, and, well, the Spurs just have Wemby.
Yeah, it helps to have Wemby, one of the best players, I think one of the most dominant players that we've ever seen, really. I mean, he's just exerting his will out there. Obviously, he had a chip on his shoulder after getting ejected from the previous game, and the Spurs shot 53%. They won the points in the paint battle 68-36. Wow. I mean, we're talking about how Minnesota has been playing tough, but you're not playing that tough if you're losing the points in the paint battle by almost double. And then Spurs out rebounding the Timberwolves, but they're also setting up great shots with great passing. The Spurs had 25 assists to Minnesota's 17. The Spurs exerted their will on defense, lots of blocks, lots of steals, forcing lots of crucial turnovers in clutch time. So, it's really, really hard to see San Antonio letting up the kind of momentum that they had in a 29-point victory in what was pretty much one of the most crucial points of the playoffs that we saw last night.
Let's say the Timberwolves get the win Friday night. They force a Game 7 back in San Antonio. When we get to that point, and the likelihood that Wemby's not going to be ejected from the game, what is the blueprint for a Game 7 on the road for the Timberwolves to be able to pull that off? Again, giving them Game 6, what has to be the game plan for them in order to pull that off and pull off another shocker to get to the third straight Western Conference final?
I think the blueprint involves Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert doing something down low and trying to get a rise out of Wemby, maybe try to pester him a little bit more. He's shown that he can get a little emotional. That elbow, I mean, obviously it produced one of the most meme-worthy photos of the year with his teammates' reaction with the wide open mouth. Like, what in the world? He just lost his mind there. So maybe if Julius Randle gets tough and tries to score on him a few times, gets throws him a little elbow or something, that's not going to hurt Minnesota's chances. But, Rudy Gobert shot 1 of 4 in that last game, and Julius Randle was 6 of 17. So they're between the two of them, they were a combined minus 37. So it's not great when your two big tough guys are absolutely getting neutralized. So both the blueprint involves both, or at least either of them, to get a little bit more physical, get into Wemby's head a little bit, and make him, hopefully draw some fouls for the Wolves fans. But yeah, it's going to be tough. Wemby just looks locked in, and he's just so disciplined a defender that it's going to be very difficult.
We're used to a certain type of ascension that needs to happen in the NBA playoffs. You go back to Michael Jordan having to overcome the Pistons, and there's so many of these stories throughout the years. There's kind of tiers. Is Wemby a guy that can break that can just do it and do it this early in his career, making the playoffs for the first time, making this kind of run and doing it this early? Do you see the skill set and with it, the team around him that in a Western Conference final can knock off this Thunder squad and with it get into the NBA Finals?
Yeah, that's why I'm not betting against the Spurs, because he looks just so effortlessly dominant, and he also looks pissed off. He looks like he really wants to win, and there's nothing more scary than a dominant player who looks angry and looks, really hungry. We saw that with Jordan for so many years. Wemby seemed like it was like a seamless 27 points and 17 rebounds, but he's also making some pretty good passes, 5 assists, and of course he's got the 3 blocks. It seems like 3 blocks is like, you can pencil it in. It's kind of like when Nikola Jokic a few years ago on their NBA title run in Denver, when he was just a lock. You could Sharpie him in for a triple-double almost every time the Nuggets took the floor. Right now it feels like the 3 blocks for Wemby is like the baseline. But yeah, he's just on a different level, and it's great for the NBA that we have this type of player right now, because with LeBron sort of fading into the sunset, it seems like Wemby might be the one that gets handed the keys to the game, and he's going to draw viewers for a very long time, because there's nobody quite like him.
Jumping over to the East, the Knicks await as the Thunder do in the West, the winner of Cleveland and Detroit. So here we are, both teams held serve at home, back to Detroit for Game 5 coming up this evening. Is it as simple as that? Back home, jump aboard with the Pistons? I think that's the way that I'm leaning. I'll tell you what, I liked it a whole lot more when the opener came out at 3.5 as opposed to the 4.5, and I should have jumped aboard what I could have last couple nights ago. But the Pistons, 4.5-point favorite tonight at home against Cleveland. What do you see?
Yeah, I'm with you, Trent. I think the Pistons should win. The Cavs have still not won a road playoff game this entire postseason. So that's, 11 games or something? It's ridiculous. That said, I think it's going to be a bit of a rock fight. I do have the Cavs covering the 4.5. I think that, the 4 in the hook is a good point for you to maybe get the underdog here. Maybe go for it on the points, because 65% of spread bettors that Detroit minus 3.5. So that's why it went up. So I think Cleveland can stay in it at least. Well, you know what they're doing? They're hunting out Duncan Robinson, who's a terrible defender, and they're absolutely exploiting Jalen Duren, who looks like he shouldn't even be playing in the playoffs. He's been a complete liability for Detroit. I don't know how this guy, who looked so good in the regular season, has looked so bad the whole postseason. But he's a tempting player to target on the under front, on the points and rebounds, or maybe even points plus rebounds plus assists. I'm going under. I'm attacking him because I think he's going to end up getting benched if he keeps playing the way he's played. And then Donovan Mitchell, he's just so good. He can single-handedly keep Cleveland in this game. He went for 39 points in the second half of Game 4, which is just one of the better halves that we've seen in postseason history. So you could still get Donovan Mitchell at plus money on most scorebooks to score 30 points, which might feel like a trap, but to me, that's too tempting to avoid at that value.
Talking with Sloan Piva from Athlon as we take a look at the NBA playoffs. Sloan, the winner of this one, will get the Knicks, as I mentioned before. The Knicks playing so well, 2 1-point losses to the Hawks in this playoff, the sweep of what they did against the Sixers. It feels like they're clicking at an incredible rate right now. Regardless, Detroit, Cleveland, how big of a favorite do you think the Knicks should be?
Oh, geez. The Knicks have just looked so good. I mean, they're on a scorching run. They went from looking like the second or third best team in the East at the end of the regular season to the best team in the East, and now they look like the best team in the NBA. I mean, they have a plus 19.5 per game differential this postseason. They're averaging 120.4 points and allowing 101 points per game, which is, that looks like an NBA champion right there. They're shooting over 40% from 3 in the playoffs. they're taking good care of the ball. They're sharing the ball seamlessly. They're rebounding. They're making key stops in the clutch. Jalen Brunson looks like an MVP. They're doing a lot of this without OG Anunoby, mind you. And when he gets back to full health, good Lord, look out. So they have everything you could ask for in a champion, and they're red hot at the right time. I think New York might be bringing a championship back home for the first time in decades. So it's pretty exciting. Obviously, basketball is better when it's when the New York Knicks are good. So as hard as it is for me to say as a Boston Celtics fan, the Knicks are hot right now, and they are the team to beat, I think.
So an Eastern Conference championship or the whole thing? Because, boy, I still can't get there with the Thunder and the way that they are, even if Jalen Williams with that hamstring injury is out an even longer time. You're saying win the whole thing or just win the East?
I'm saying they're going to win the whole thing. I'm calling it right now. I know it's a daring thing to say. It's very courageous, but yeah, I mean, you know how much I love OKC. I said at the beginning of the playoffs that there was no way anybody was beating them, but New York has found something here, and Karl Anthony Towns helping at point forward, and they're just rough and tumble defense, and his rebounding, and Jalen Brunson's clutch play. If OG Anunoby comes back to full health, I don't think the Knicks will slow down. So I know it's a tough call to make, but because OKC is still going to be very good, and I think that's a 7-game series, and it might be a damn good one. But yeah, I'm calling it. Knicks are winning it all.
Right. We'll file that one away for a little bit later. Sloan Piva with us here today on Miller and Condon. Want to jump over, Sloan, and take a look at a couple of potential destinations. And this offseason is going to be dominated. We got a great draft with so many great college players coming in, a lot of excitement that's going to be happening there. But what is going to happen with LeBron? What's going to happen with Giannis? Those two guys, the decisions, both in the front office for Milwaukee, and what is LeBron's decision going to be? Let's start with Giannis first. A destination that makes sense to you, even if he is going to make a move, because this has been something that has dominated the last 2-3 years now of where he's going to end up. Ultimately, how does it play out for him this summer?
Oh man, I mean, I see Giannis moving, but it's very hard with the money to try to figure out exactly where he's going to go. I've heard some people saying that it's possible he lands in Boston, which is crazy to me. It would be very difficult for me to see the Tatum and Brown J duo breaking up. But, I mean, crazier things have happened, right? Giannis is one of those dominant players that would make it worthwhile probably for Boston, but it would be very, very difficult. That said, if the Timberwolves don't win this series, maybe the Timberwolves make a play. They've got enough salary to try to make it work. I think they would be paying pretty heftily with draft picks, obviously. The Knicks, the Cavaliers, not the Knicks. The Cavaliers would be interested. I would have said the Knicks before this playoff run. And then there's always the Lakers. Los Angeles seems to always make things happen that you don't expect that they'll be able to. But yeah, the Lakers would happily take Giannis aboard, especially if LeBron moves on. But I think LeBron's probably going to come back. Will he come back to the Lakers? Will that relationship with Pelinka eventually sour, or will they run it back since Luka hasn't been healthy this playoff? That's another big question. These are big question points. I don't think he's retiring though. LeBron seems like the kind of guy to me that will do a retirement tour, and he'll do the jersey swaps after each, final road game against teams. It just seems like he's going to milk it. He'll probably wait as long as possible to make his decision. He probably won't air a decision on ESPN like we've seen in the past, but he's going to draw it out for sure.
I'm right there with you. And I really struggle to envision all of a sudden we wake up someday or you get the alert on your phone, LeBron James is retiring. I can't wrap my mind around that happening. I saw the odds that are out there, and it was some far away places, but still the implied odds were something like 81%, I think it was, that he was going to come back for another year. I think it's like 98%. I mean, my implied odds are much different than what it is. So the next question becomes, where is it? Where makes sense? There's a lot of talk about him going with Steph to Golden State and those guys maybe finishing together, the potential of that happening. One angle that I think makes a ton of sense to me is if the Knicks do not win that championship, they fall just short, say they fall to the Thunder in the NBA Finals, is him going there and maybe being the final piece, because we've had the LeBron and New York conversation so many times over the last 2 decades. That's the one that I like most, and I think you can get it at 8-1. I also like that part.
Yeah, and he's one of those players. I mean, he's probably the player that you could say, whoever, wherever he wants to go, he can probably go, right? Mm-hmm. And, there aren't many teams besides maybe OKC that are going to say, no, we're all set. I mean, it's LeBron James. He makes everyone around him better, and that's one of the reasons why he's considered one of the greatest of all time. He's just one of the smartest and most talented and most athletic specimens that we've ever seen play the game of basketball. So, yeah, I think if the Knicks want to take a stab, they can absolutely take him on. They've got a lot of large contracts, so they would be able to make it work. But yeah, it's definitely, he'll definitely come back. I don't see him going back to the Cavaliers. I don't see him going back to the Heat. I think it's possible that he teams up with his old buddy Steph Curry, but then they'll have to arrange some contracts. They'll probably have to do away with Draymond somehow, and then you got a couple of long shots. I mean, what if he went to Dallas and re-teamed up with? Or no, he's not going to team up with AD because AD already got traded from there. So, yes. But yeah, it's you can do a lot of mental gymnastics to try and figure out where he's going to go. But I think it's going to be a complete surprise, like it always is with him.
Oh, you never know, that is for sure. Sloan Piva joining us. Sloan, hey, last thing, you mentioned a couple of things. Donovan Mitchell, 30+ points and plus money, something that you're looking at. Any other props for tonight, or even looking forward to Friday with the Timberwolves and the Spurs that jump out to you? You're going to be playing.
Yeah, I'm going under on Jalen Duren's over under. He's like, I think you're getting like over under 12.5 points. He's such a bum this playoffs. I'm going under the 12.5 points. I think he's going to be sitting for most of the second half because I have just had it with this guy, and I'm sure his coaching staff has as well. But yeah, Cade Cunningham over under 26.5. That's easy. I got him to score 30 points with that plus money bet. And then I've got a Star Thompson over on the combined defense. So blocks plus steals. You can get him at over 3.5 plus money. So I'm hitting that one because the Star Thompson's just been so big defensively.
Make it happen, Sloan. Best of luck to you. We'll talk to you again next week. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Sloan Piva with Athlon joining us here on Miller and Condon, and a breakdown of some of the props he likes and the NBA playoffs. Speaking of props, Unjuiced.bet. That is a place to go if you're looking to get involved in the prop market. Not only that, they got a bunch of different avenues that you can jump in. Arbitrage betting, meaning betting one side and the other, as sportsbooks have different odds, and guarantee yourself a profit. They have that set up for you as well. Go to Unjuiced.bet right now, and you'll get 30% off and your first week free with the promo code KXNO. Unjuiced.bet, by the way, I have been playing these props if you've been listening here over the last couple of weeks. How about this? Last 7 days. Props 12-9. All right, that's pretty good, but up 5.6 units in that 12-9 record that I have in my props, all thanks to Unjuiced. Unjuiced.bet. Use the code KXNO for 30% off and get your first week for free. Coming back on the other side, my picks of the day, including some of those prop picks, are coming up. Presented by Circus Sports. That's next. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
From the Hawkeyes to the Cyclones, the Bulldogs to the Panthers, we've got you covered everywhere in Iowa. This is Des Moines Sports Station, 106.3. KXNO.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out?
It's Spruce, the weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people, pets, and bees. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour, and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Spruce, pet friendly, weed deadly. Find wherever weed killers are sold.
Success is picking up extra shifts for your family. Now you want to be the boss. Success is getting your foot in the door. Now you want to take the next step. Success looks different to everyone, and University of Maryland Global Campus can help you reach your goals. And there's never been a better time to get started on your future. No application fee if you apply by June 1st. As an accredited state university, UMGC has been transforming lives for over 75 years. With more than 135 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates, online and hybrid courses, personalized support, financial resources, and lifetime career services, achieving your dreams is more possible than ever before. Choose the program that's right for your career goals and get started on your next success. No application fee if you apply by June 1st. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Remember how you felt when you were 25? Your morning workouts were a breeze. You had a drive that kicked in way before your first cup of coffee. Does it feel like you're losing your edge? You know, it might not be your age. It could be low testosterone. At Mentality, we'll get to the bottom of what's really going on and build a personalized plan using testosterone replacement and peptide therapies to help restore your energy, focus, and drive. Get back to being the guy you used to be. Book your appointment with Mentality at lowtusa.com. Again, that's lowtusa.com.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. Trent Condon here for Circa Sports. The Circa Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Running a business means wearing multiple hats. So if you're like me, you probably started out using your personal phone, taking client calls and texts nonstop. As my business grew, I needed something smarter. That's when I switched to Quo, the #1 business phone system. Quo works right on your phone or computer. No carrying 2 phones, no clunky landline, just one easy app you can try for free. Your team can share one number and handle calls and texts together like a shared inbox. Any teammate can jump into the conversation, so customers get faster responses. And Quo's AI assistant summarizes your calls and responds to customers 24/7, so you never miss a lead or opportunity. All this starts at just $15 a month. That's basically 2 coffees. You can even keep your current business phone number. Find out why 90,000 businesses trust Quo. Money is on the line. Always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free at quo.com/sports. That's quo.com/sports to try Quo free. QUO.com/SPORTS.
If you're thinking about upgrading your HVAC system, Green's Appliance Heating and Cooling is turning up the value. For a limited time, when you purchase a new qualifying HVAC system, you'll receive a free water heater included. That means improved comfort, better efficiency, and dependable hot water, all in one smart upgrade. Professional installation, trusted local technicians, and comfort you can count on. Don't miss this limited time offer. Call Greens today or schedule online at greensahc.com.
You're listening to Miller and Condon. Off the Fence with Sean Roberts and Lucas Strain is on deck here on 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Wrap things up on a Wednesday. Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. Ken will be back with us tomorrow. Excited to get the old man back in the chair. He's working hard out there. He's working a couple of jobs as he sadly makes his way towards a retirement. Well, some details about that hoping to coming up here in a little bit. And a way for our great listeners to say thank you to 30 years on the air, helping start sports talk radio here in the state of Iowa and in Des Moines. And Ken gonna call it a career, at least on the radio front of things, still doing some work out of Prairie Meadows, but he'll be back with us tomorrow, and always good as Ken and I can go back and forth a little bit as he will be back with us. My picks of the day presented each and every day by Circa Sports. Again, your opportunity to go with us out to Las Vegas. It's happening right now. Sign up at KXNO.com for our next silver anniversary ticket giveaway on KXNO. Your chance to get qualified, and you can do this every single day. The grand prize winner
You're going to have airfare getting you out to Las Vegas. We'll go out there August 9th through the 12th. We will be out there. We're going to be having VIP events at the Legacy Club, at Stadium Swim, a meet and greet with Iwan Mike Palm and with Derek Stevens, the owner of Circa. We're going to have a sportsbook experience. Going to have a bunch of booths right in the middle. It's going to be a great time. If you want to throw some dice, I know I'm going to be doing that. Play some craps with me. Should be a fun one. Your opportunity right now. KXNO.com. Go to Circa with us. Sign up today and every day at KXNO.com. For today, we look to bounce back. It was a losing day yesterday. We went 3-4 overall in our picks. We're right back to the well again. We got 7 more for you today. Let's build on what we did on Monday. All right. Props for tonight. We got 4 of them. Starting in baseball, I am going to jump aboard with James Wood over 1.5 total bases. That is plus 130. We're also going to go over Mizorowski tonight. What a pitching matchup. Him and King with the Padres and the Brew Crew. That's a good one here this evening. Over 7.5 strikeouts for Mizorowski as he has been red hot on the bump against that Padres team at home for Milwaukee. I'm going over Tobias Harris points tonight. I tried this one before. Didn't go well. Let's get the bounce back we need. Over 18.5 points for Harris and over Dean Wade, 3-pointers, a half. He's just got to make a triple. We're laying minus 160 on that one. 2 bets in baseball tonight, playing the Braves plus 118 at home against the Cubs and jumping aboard with the Cardinals at the A's plus 130 there. And I said it earlier, would have liked it a whole lot more at minus 3.5. I'm still playing the Pistons. The home team has dominated this series. I think that continues tonight as Detroit gets it done against Cleveland. Pistons, Cardinals, Braves, Dean Wade over 3-pointers, Tobias Harris over points, Mizorowski over strikeouts, and James Wood over total bases. A lot of overs. Props have been good, though, here over the last week. That'll do it for today. Off the Bench with Sean and Lucas is next right here on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Congratulations to